And thanks for watching the Cardinals Nest here on HBC Channel 25. Dean Beckman, Sports Information Director Donny Nadeau, and Mandy Pearson, the women's basketball coach, joining us right away here on the Cardinals Nest. And we're going to mix things around a little bit. We're going to start off with the interview segment. And Mandy, I know you're focused on the final 2 regular season games yet to go, but we do need to congratulate you on reaching the playoffs. The Cardinals are in the playoffs the first time in 7 years for the St. Mary's program. So I know, again, with the 2 regular season games, you want to finish as strong as possible, but it's a nice feeling, isn't it?
Yeah, it's really nice.
Yeah.
It's really nice to have 2 games to go and know that we've
Right.
made it. That takes a little bit of pressure off, and we can play with a little bit more ease, I think.
Yeah.
At least the people on our team can.
And
you know, we've talked, when you locked up that playoff berth on Saturday against Augsburg, you know, you would think there was a lot on the line. The players knew what was going on, but yet that first half, you come out and you hold Augsburg to 9 points, and so you're going into the second half with a really large lead. Were you surprised at the way you played that first half and with the authority that you kind of took command of that game?
I mean, you're always surprised when you take a team like, you hold a team like Augsburg to 9 points, but I guess we just continue to get better every single day, practice or games this season, so I wasn't in shock that we played so well. We just made our shots, you know, which makes everything a lot easier for you. But it was awesome. It was a good feeling. Our players had no idea the importance of that game. We didn't tell them that we pretty much needed to beat Augsburg to get in. We held that information from them a little bit.
Well, you don't need any added stress to the season, and clearly that strategy worked because they obviously played very loose and were ready to go there against Augsburg. And in fact, that's kind of been the way things have been going lately. Winners of 3 of your last 4 games, almost 4 of your last 5, just that 1-point loss in there, or it would have been 4 out of your last 5. So you seem to be getting hot kind of at the right point of the season here.
Yeah, and that's kind of what it's about, especially when you're fighting for those spots, and the 4, 5, and 6 spot. It's always about who gets hot at the end of the season. And we have some great leaders on our team, and our younger players continue to get better. Our biggest strength this year has been our defense, and that's the one thing that we continue to try and control as much as we can, is just playing hard and coming out ready to go, and that's helped us, I think, even gain confidence on the offensive side of things.
You know, it's nice, you know, we've talked now, it's nice that you've got that playoff berth locked up, but there's still a lot to play for with these 2 games left, Wednesday against Hamlin and then Saturday against St. Thomas. There's still the possibility that you guys could even host a playoff game. How do you approach the last 2 games? You know, yes, you're in the playoffs, but again, that there's so much to still play for.
You know, we took our team right the day after, or the next practice that we had after our Augsburg game, and we showed them video of our first practice scrimmage, and then showed them video of a very fun part of the game in our first half against Augsburg, and just talked about how much we've improved and how our focus right now is just every single day to continue improving, so when we get to the playoffs that we are, you know, as good as we can be. And we talked about how we haven't put 40 minutes together. So our approach now is just to get better in those 2 games and not worry about what it means if we win or lose those basketball games, just to continue trying to improve.
You know, the fact that you've made the playoffs, and as Dean said, it's been 7 years, it really isn't just something about this team, though. This has been a process that really started when you took over. A lot of the credit should really go to some of the players who were here before this group. You know, you look at a Jess Miller or a Sherry Kulik who graduated last year. They had a lot to do with the success of this team as well.
I just wrote them hand notes about it today. The nice thing is they came back for our Augsburg game on Saturday, so they were in the crowd, and you know, Bob Beeble was there, and he told them the exact same thing. You know, I think as a player, it's hard when you don't make it to the playoffs and have to sit there and watch the team after you do that. But he reminded them, and I wrote it in their notes, and I told them after the game that a big reason that we're in this position is because of the work that they put in, you know, for their 4 years into our program, and how their attitudes and their work ethic just set the tone. And that's, I mean, that is a huge reason for our success this year, because they changed a mentality around, and it's been extremely helpful, attitude-wise and work ethic-wise.
You know, as a coach, obviously you're not one to pat yourself on the back, but you and Jenna have had a lot to do with this too, in the work that you guys have put forth in terms of recruiting and really turning a program around to bringing it back to where, you know, some of the greatness that it had, back in the 80s.
Yeah, you know, I mean, it's hard work and recruiting, and sometimes it's a little bit of luck as well, you know. But Jenna's been a great addition to our staff because our team really likes her. They really respect her opinion, and she does a phenomenal job of giving them confidence every single day because she doesn't give them compliments unless she means it. So, and I think that they've started to understand that, and she's a great recruiter. So that's helped us bring in the right people and give our players confidence to be successful.
As a former player, and Jenna played as well, does that help you in terms of kind of understanding some of the things that this team is going through, and really as you're recruiting, kind of understanding what your team needs, and because you've been in that situation that your team is in?
Yeah, you know, I think that helps a ton. Any coach that's played, I'm sure that can help, but I think just playing in this league helps us to communicate with them some things about what we need to do. And anybody who's played in the MIAC knows how important every single game is and how it's just a constant battle. So we hope that helps our team and allows us to do a better job of coaching them.
Mandy, as we look at a few specifics, especially recently, Jessica Thone has been the leading scorer in 7 of the last 8 games. Jamie Steffley, the other leading scorer in the other game. Obviously, Jess and Jamie, the 2 leading scorers on the team. I liked how you talked about showing them the game film from Augsburg and that first scrimmage that you had and how far the team has improved. Obviously, it's a team sport, but I'll tell you, Jessica Thone down the stretch here has been phenomenal.
She loves to win.
Yeah.
She absolutely loves to win. She's very competitive, and she just has the attitude of, you know what, let's just go make it happen. Let's do whatever we have to do to be successful, and has no fear. You know, she's not afraid to make a mistake, and that's the best thing that you can have on any team. And sure, sometimes she does throw the ball around a little bit, but she's constantly trying to make things happen. She has a great basketball IQ, and she really trusts those people around her, which allows her to be even more successful.
You know, we've talked a lot about her all season long, and yes, she's the leading scorer on the team, but really, that's just a part of her arsenal. And I'm still amazed sometimes to watch her run the floor and the passes that she makes and the people that she sees that I don't think anybody else on the court sees. I mean, she does have a great vision on the court.
She does. She watches a ton of basketball. She'll come into practice. Coach, did you see the Duke North Carolina game last night? And she'll cite things. You know, some people when they watch games, they're just, oh, they made a shot, cool. And she's really watching the game, and she understands a lot about basketball, so she sees all those things. I mean, she'll come in the huddle, and she's getting a little bit more confident to do this, but just saying, hey, if we do this again, they're probably going to do this. Here's what we want to look for. So I'll walk into a huddle or a timeout, and she's giving them some useful tool that's going to help us be successful.
And the beauty is you get her for another year.
Thank goodness. Thank goodness.
Talk a little bit about Jamie's play. Jamie Steffley, you know, she didn't get to complete the season last year. She was having a great year last year, got hampered by the knee injury, but now this year she's come back healthy, and really it doesn't appear like the knee has bothered her at all.
I mean, it's been sore. You know, anybody that's gone through ACL surgery, I think they get pretty sore, but her endurance is just phenomenal. You know, she just gets up and down the floor. She'll get an easy basket here and there just by running the floor. She hits 10-foot jumpers. She's very versatile in her scoring, which helps us, and she's a very good rebounder on both ends of the floor. You know, so her play's just been her play's been great for us, and I think she'll continue to get better and stronger, and that's going to help her a lot.
What's been the biggest surprise this year in terms of the season in general? What's been the biggest thing that you can look back and say, wow, I didn't expect that?
Biggest surprise? You know, I'm going to have to go with our defense. You know, I think because we have a few younger players playing for us, sometimes you can get hurt on the defensive side of things, but they have learned very quickly, and they've really come together playing well. You know, I think Sarah Schoenthaler, Octavia Brown, Adri Stevens, those 3 freshmen on the defensive side of things have been phenomenal, and that's really added. I was worried, you know, graduating Jess and Kim because they were such good defenders that would affect us, but I think we continue to get better.
And you have had,
excited.
Your freshmen have played a lot of minutes.
They have.
You know, it's not like you're able to play them for 5 or 10 minutes. They're playing some significant time.
Yeah, I mean, they're playing a lot of minutes, and they're doing a good job. You know, they have their freshman moments, but they continue to improve their consistency, and that's helped quite a bit because we have the upperclassmen that are doing a great job of being consistent and doing the things that they need to do, and they're stepping into their roles very well.
Say, Mandy, clearly one of the strengths of the team is its unselfish play. 319 assists this year compared to your opponent's 246. So not even close. You're way above the opponents as far as assists go. What would be the one area heading into these final 2 regular season games you hope your team can improve on in preparation for the playoffs?
Our unselfish play sometimes leads us to turn the basketball over a lot. So I think that we really need to take care of the ball, and a few players need to be a little bit more aggressive looking to score. Our post players have a lot of assists as well. And sometimes when they're getting the ball inside, they're looking to pass it instead of just looking to attack the basket, and their shooting percentage, I mean, Courtney Early and Jamie Steffley are the top 10 in the MIAC in field goal percentage. So I hope that they become a little bit more aggressive looking to score. And if we continue to take care of the basketball, that should really help us, because that's been one of our biggest vices this year, is we throw the ball around a little bit too much at times.
All right, and finally, as you head into these final 2 games, really you could end up anywhere number 4 seed to number 6 seed, right?
Yes.
Depending on how everything plays out over the next 2 games. And when do the playoffs start? Next Tuesday, the 21st? All right.
Yeah.
So should be exciting. Well, Mandy Pearson, thanks for being on the show here today, and good luck these final 2 regular season games as you fight for the highest seed you can get. So.
Yeah, thank you very much.
All right, stay tuned here to the Cardinals Nest. Donnie and I will be back to talk about some of the other sports at St. Mary's University right here on HBC.
BTN hits the hardwood for college hoops.
Oh, this could be fun!
Witness all the excitement of the season when Rodney Williams and the Gophers take the floor.
Oh! Young fella! Getting up high!
Big Ten basketball all season long on BTN.
That was awesome. I know.
ESPN, the home court of Big Monday. The home court of Super Tuesday. The home court of Wednesday Night Hoops. The home court of Thursday Night Showcase.
You serious?
The home court of Saturday Primetime.
Oh, my goodness.
ESPN, the home court of college hoops. Be there all season long on ESPN and ESPN2.
And we're back here on the Cardinals Nest as we look now at the other St. Mary's University sports. Donnie, we covered women's basketball in depth as they get set to go into the tournament MIAC playoffs next Tuesday. Men's basketball, they'll actually be closing out their season coming up here. They play on Saturday and then again, or on Wednesday, and then again this upcoming weekend against the University of St. Thomas. So the men's season will be coming to an end. Right now they're on a 3-game losing streak heading into the Wednesday night game, the last home game of the season against Hamlin.
Yeah, and we've talked a lot, Coach Landrum and I have talked a lot over the season, and that so many of their losses this year have been so close, and it's just been some momentum switches. You look at the Bethel game that they just played on Monday. Bethel used 3 runs of like a 10-0 run in the second half. That just kind of took St. Mary's out of the game, and it's been so close, and they've had so many games that really could have gone either way, and it's just things haven't gone quite the way Coach Landrum would have hoped. But it's been a pretty solid season for them, and I know that he's going to miss his 3 seniors that graduated, and Pat Freeman and Tim Kunkel and Rod Goolsby. When they're gone, it's going to be unfortunate for them that their careers have ended. But it'll be another chapter for Coach Landrum to begin writing as soon as the season is over.
Well, and here's some of the highlights from that Gustavus game. And Michael Burfind had 15 points. He's one of the returning players, and we talked about how Jess Thone, 7 of the last 8 games on the women's team, has been the leading scorer. When you look at the high points throughout the season, it's Michael Burfine, an occasional Pat Freeman here and there, but between Pat and Michael, they have been the dominant players this year, and Michael's coming back for next year.
Yeah, Michael's had a really great junior year, and right now he's second on the team, second in the league in scoring. He leads the team in scoring at just over 19 points a game. And, you know, I think you got to give a lot of credit to Pat Freeman as well, one of the three seniors. You know, heading into this year, he had scored 10 or more points 10 times in his first 3 years of his career. This year, he's had 10 points more 13 times. So he's having a great senior year, and you know, unfortunately, it comes to an end for him. But I think that he really capped his senior year off in a great way, and I think that he and Michael really offset each other very well. And you know, Michael's a huge talent and really stepped out of the shadows this year. Kind of took that. Took that leadership role in terms of on the court and off the court, and really is having a phenomenal junior year. And you know, kind of like Mandy said with Jess, I'm sure that that Coach Landrum is really happy that he gets to have Michael again for another year.
Yeah, no question. You talked about Pat, and one of the reasons Michael has had such a good season is because of Pat Freeman. Evan Peterson, of course, the freshman point guard, leads the Cardinals in assists with 77. But Pat Freeman, not far behind. He has 60, and so for a big man, and I'm sure Burfine has been the recipient of most of those assists from Freeman.
Absolutely. You know, you don't want this recap to be all about Pat Freeman, but you know, again, you look at his rebounds. He's got over 100 rebounds, and so he and Michael have really done a nice job of a good 1-2 punch offensively and defensively. So you know, it's going to be unfortunate when Pat leaves, but I'm sure that Coach Landrum's going to be looking for another 6'4", 6'5" kind of forward that can fill that role that Pat had, and you look to Michael to continue. You know, Michael scored in double figures in all but 2 of the Cardinals games this year, and really it'd be all but 1, except that he ran into foul trouble against Augsburg last Saturday, and it's been great to see Michael really come out of that shell and really step into the spotlight and just embrace it, and has had really a phenomenal junior season.
Well, and I think it really speaks to the coaching staff and the character of this team. They did not get off to a good start at all, didn't get their first win until January of 2012, but they have really come on strong, and regardless of how these final 2 games go, Donnie, they have been very competitive to close out the season.
I'll tell you what, I would find it hard to believe that there's a team in the conference right now that wants to play St. Mary's right now, because they are. You're absolutely right. I don't think there's a team in this conference that you can say that it can go into a game against St. Mary's and say we're going to win for sure, no question about it, because the Cardinals are playing very well. I think we talk about this a lot about there's an adjustment period when you've got some young players and you're adding some older players and they're playing in different roles. And this year, St. Mary's had all of that. You know, you've got Burfine, who didn't have to be the leading scorer. You got Pat Freeman, who didn't have to be the leading scorer. You got Evan coming in as a freshman, Lamont Hall coming in as a freshman. All these pieces that really had to kind of get put together and figure out how they all fit together. And I think that come January, about the early part of January, is when they finally started figuring things out and really started coming together as a team. And right now they're playing very well. And I really do think that there isn't a team in the conference right now that wants to play St. Mary's.
Yeah. As I was looking at the stats for the men's team this season, I think the one thing that kind of illustrates how the season went, they shot 40% from the field, which isn't terrible from the field. That includes 2- and 3-point range. But I think the one area they'd like to have back a little bit would be defending the shot, as they gave up 46% for opponents from the field. That's probably a little bit too high, and that's why they got outscored 68-58 was the average on the season.
Yeah, I'm sure that that's certainly something that Coach Landrum would like to improve on a little bit. But it's been a season of highs and lows and ups and downs, and that consistency, and I think as Mandy said in the first part, defensively it's a tough game. Basketball is a tough game when you've got to play on that defensive end the way they do, and I'm sure that he'd love to bring that opponent's shooting percentage down a little bit next year.
In hockey action, Donnie, men's hockey, it's the final weekend of action for the men's hockey team as they travel to Moorhead to take on Concordia. So it'll be 2 away games for the Cardinals to close out the season. Definitely not the way Coach Moore had wanted things to go this year. They go into this record this weekend, 4 wins, 17 losses, 2 ties. They're coming off playing, as you can see, second place Gustavus. They ended up tying on Friday night 4-4, and then lost at home on Saturday night 4-1. Tell us about last weekend.
It's been such a crazy season for the men's hockey team, and I know we've talked about this before on this show, but when we play 14 of your 20-plus games that are decided by a goal or less, I mean, that's just absolutely crazy.
I've never seen anything like it in almost any sport. It's just incredible.
And so, they're so close. You're right. Coach Moore certainly would have loved to have had many more wins than they had this year, but there were so many games that are so close. And I think that on top of that, when you take a look at two of their wins were against nationally ranked teams, one of which was the defending national champion. One of their two ties is against Gustavus last Friday, a team that's going to be in the MIAC playoffs this year. So there are so many games that they've played, won, tied, and then lost that have been so close that it's just a season of, shoulda, coulda, been close, but they just haven't been able to get over the top. I think that if you look at this team, the thing that really is impressive about this team is despite their one-loss record and despite the fact that they probably feel like they should have been better than they were, you take Friday's game against Gustavus as a perfect example. First period, they're down 3-1. Going into the third period, they're down 4-2. Easily could have just said, that's it, we're done, let's go home. And instead, they battle and battle and battle, and Nick Gorup scores a couple of goals, and all of a sudden it's a 4-4 game, and you're in overtime. And in overtime, St. Mary's had the better opportunities to score, could have easily won that game in overtime. And I think that says a lot about this team and the character of the individuals that Coach Moore has brought together. And they're not going to quit. They're going to keep battling. They play Concordia this weekend, a team that's really that's battling for a spot in the playoffs. And they're going to go up there and they're going to give it everything they've got. And it's a tough place to play. It's a tough trip that they have to make. But I can guarantee you when we talk next week, it's going to be 2 more close games because this team will not quit.
There has not been anything but close games for this team. There's not a ton of team stats in hockey that you can point to. Just a couple, though. Goals and shot attempts, which go to shooting percentage. St. Mary's 0.92 compared to 112 for opponents. What does that
Well,
say?
they need to score more goals, and they're getting shots. They're just not scoring enough on the shots that they're getting, and that's a pretty simple stat. And that Coach Moore would say we need to score more goals. He needs to go out and find more goal scorers. Unfortunately, in this league, in the MIAC, the goaltenders are so good. They're very talented. You go up and down the the teams in the MIAC, and they all have very talented goalies. I know Gustavus had a guy that was about 6'9" that played against him on Friday, and he was just huge. He was a monster. But they have very talented goalies, and every one of them in the conference is over a 900 save percentage. So they're stopping 9 out of 10 shots, which is goals are at a premium, and right now that was one of the problems that the Cardinals had was scoring goals.
All right, let's take a look at the women's team now. Last week on the show, we said they still had a slim shot at making the playoffs. That has pretty much come to an end now as they were swept by Gustavus last weekend, losing on Friday night, a game right here on HBC. They lost 8-2, and then 5-0 in St. Peter on Saturday. And so even though the Cardinals don't make the playoffs, Donnie, still 2 weekends left to play. And Gustavus was ranked 6th in the country, and we'll see some highlights from Friday night's game here. So they had to play them. Now they play Concordia. And Concordia is the one team that can hang with Gustavus, at least from a scoring goals standpoint. Concordia is 2nd in the conference, and they can score goals like crazy.
Yeah, you go from playing the number 1 team in the conference to playing the number 2 team in the conference on back-to-back weekends. The nice thing about this weekend is both games are at home. St. Mary's plays much better at home than they do on the road, and much the same way with the men. Talking to Coach Manor, they're certainly not gonna throw in the towel, and they're gonna give Concordia all that they can handle, and it's gonna be 2 battles, and I talked to Coach Manor after the Gustavus series, and his summary of it was pretty simple. They are good, and I talked to assistant coach Greg Moore, and he said he would not be surprised if he saw them in the national finals, and I mean they're that talented and they're that deep, and they just had too much firepower for us last weekend, and much the same way with the men, the women need to find a way to score more goals. They scored 2 goals on the weekend, both in that Friday night game, and they've just got to be able to score more goals than, they're averaging just really just under 2 goals a game. And you're not going to win a whole lot of games when you're not generating enough offense. Give Sarah Gustafson a lot of credit. She had 75 saves on the weekend. And so she was kept very busy, and has really done a great job this year when you consider she's playing every game, and that's a lot of work for a sophomore goalie. So give her a lot of credit. She's doing a great job.
So again, still a couple of weekends to go for the women's hockey team. Donnie, it's a big weekend this upcoming weekend for swimming and diving. It's the conference championships up at the University of Minnesota, and certainly the divers are ready. They've had some invitationals. It was the St. Thomas Invitational last weekend, and Liz Flynn, she continues to break her own records.
Yeah, we talked when the season started that we'd be talking about Liz Flynn a lot this year, and she certainly hasn't disappointed. Just in last week alone, she broke the 3-meter 6 dive school record and the 3-meter 11 dive school record. The first one at St. Thomas, and then the first one at St. Olaf, and then the second one at St. Thomas. And so she's certainly primed and ready to go for the conference championships. And so are all of the swimmers, and as well as the divers. I talked to Coach Lindquist on Tuesday, and he said, the preparation is done. We're ready to go. We're going to go up there and we're going to give it everything we've got. Last year they had 99% of their swims were season or career bests, and he doesn't expect anything less than that again this year. And I think he's hoping to maybe crawl up a spot or two in the conference standings. They build their whole season. They prepare for these 3 days up in Minneapolis, and Coach Lindquist is ready to go. Unfortunately, he doesn't have to swim. It's the athletes that do all the swimming, and so it's kind of a wait and see what happens. He says they're ready. It's just a matter now of going out and performing.
Yep, and we'll report on the results next week here on the Cardinals Nest. In women's tennis action, Donnie, the Cardinals did something against Carleton no other team had done this season. Even though St. Mary's lost, they were the only team in 3 matches to actually win a set against Carleton.
Yeah, Carleton is a tough team. They're ranked in the top 25 nationally, and they're number 11 in the region. So they're a very, very good team. And St. Mary's picked up did pick up a win in that 8-1 loss. But Coach Hallberg is happy with the way the team has started. They're playing very well. They've got a very busy weekend this weekend with non-conference matches against Edgewood and Martin Luther on Saturday, and then another non-conference match against St. Scholastica on Sunday. So it's a busy weekend for them. And again, he talks all about everything is about gearing up for the conference matches, and unfortunately the 8-1 loss was not the way he wanted to start the conference, but there's a lot of matches left to play, and I know that he's happy with the way teams are playing right now. And Bailey Edwards is doing a phenomenal job. She's played 3 singles matches at #1 singles, and all 3 of them have gone to the 3rd set, so she's keeping herself right about where we expected her to be, and that's in every single match that she plays.
And Donnie, men's tennis hasn't started conference play yet, but they did pick up a couple of consecutive wins last weekend against Edgewood and Martin Luther College, back to non-conference again on Friday when they host Bethany Lutheran.
Yeah, Bobby Steingrabber, what a great start to his season. He's a junior that's 4-0 in both singles and doubles right now, winning all 4 of his matches at #2 singles, and then all 4 of his matches teaming with Mike Lunka at #1 doubles. Great way for him to start the season. And for the Cardinals, 3-1 is a great start. They've got a very busy weekend. They'll play Scholastica as well on Sunday, so it's a busy time for the tennis teams, even though we're still talking about winter sports.
And Donnie, it's about 30 seconds left here. The Cardinal Open in track and field. The men take first, women second place.
Yeah, Coach McMahon was very happy with the way they performed, and John Souchere picked up a first-place finish for the Cardinals, and there were several seconds and thirds. And, it was a smaller meet in terms of teams, but I think Coach McMahon was pretty happy with the way they performed, and they head to the University of Dubuque this weekend for the Spartan Invitational, and they're closing in on getting ready for the MIAC Indoor Championships.
Wow, we got through everything.
We got it all.
It was a busy week. St. Mary's women's basketball going to the playoffs, and by this time next week, we'll know how that first game in the playoffs went. So thanks for watching the Cardinals Nest right here on HBC Channel 25.